Yo, let's go. Come on. Instead of being distracted on the news right now, remember this symbol? Remember I showed it to you last time? There's different variations of this symbol. And some of us got distracted last time and said it's the daisy of death and not the flower of life. And this is all perspective based on whether you're looking at a 2D object or a 3-dimensional object that's actually rotating and spinning. So in some certain circumstances, when you look at this, if you look at it correctly, you'll start to see that there's a cube in there. Okay, and so if you have the cube right there, obviously 6-sided molecular structure creating the cube, what happens is that it's called isolation of charge. Isolation of charge is what some people call death because it's the opposite of life, but it's not really. So we have a 5-sided molecular structure, a 6-sided molecular structure. We have all these different molecular structures starting with the tetrahedron. Okay, so we have the basic building blocks of how the flower of life exists, how you exist, how I exist. These are perfect patterns, and we need to start looking at these patterns, because if we look at these patterns instead of the patterns on what's going on with the violence and the hate and the fear and the bombing and the wars all over the place and then the rioting, and if you guys keep looking at all those things that are the hormones of stress, and if you keep on getting high off of the hormones of stress all over the time, nonstop, and you don't have an opportunity to actually calm down and breathe into your actual highest, most beneficial life now, that sucks if you can't turn yourself off. So right now, this is a little coherent practice for anybody who's watching my reels right now. We're going to tune out all of that stuff, all of that non-beneficial energy that just came out of what I just spoke about for the last couple of seconds. Let's tune that out like it doesn't exist, and let's tune into this sacred pattern again. The flower of life is about stability, a stable shape. Now, if I stabilize my breath right now and I inhale, right, and exhale, I'm gonna put my hand on my heart, okay? And then I'm gonna put my fingers like that on the front of my head and then touch kind of the back of my head. And now I'm gonna breathe. And I'm breathing from my belly. When I inhale, you inhale making your belly bigger. And then breathe that up to your chest and then up to your head and then exhale. So breathe out your belly, breathe up your chest, pulling in your belly and holding it, and then bringing it all the way up and then let it relax. So it's belly, chest, head, and relax. And that actually turns off fight or flight. So let's do it. Inhale. And the next step of this, so that it's not too much at once, we'll break it up. Next step, keep breathing, is it's 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. 5 seconds in, belly, chest, head, 5 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale out. Do that for 3 minutes. That's stability. It's calming down the nervous system. It's calming down the amygdala. It's calming down the fight or flight response to the fear mechanism that has been triggered through whatever it is. So we're stabilizing like a snowflake, the molecular structure, the 6-sided hexagon. And this flower of life, why some of people say that it's death, is because it's a circle. It just loops and 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 loops, and you can't get anywhere or do anything. There's no growth. There's no life or anything. So that may or may not be true from one angle or another. But if you have this and it's moving in a 3-dimensional toroidal shaped flow, and it's going to the center, it's beaming itself back out and it's spiraling itself to and through and going back up and going back down and spiraling all around infinitely in all directions. That's what we call the caduceus, coming from Hermes, Thoth, Trismegistus, in the 432 hertz factor 9 grid pattern matrix. So the way that our DNA is coded, and it is actually an icosahedron, golden rectangle, and a dodecahedron, and they ratchet together, and when they do, they spin. And what happens in our DNA, if we take that strand of DNA, those 2 strands of DNA, and we double it over itself, and we turn it, and then we double it over itself and we turn it again, like making rope. So we're gonna braid the braid on the braid and braid that braid on a braid and keep doing that until it turns inside out recursively. And what happens when it does that is it's an infinite source of divine energy from the inside out, not needing anything from outside of itself, which means it's no longer a parasite, it's no longer a virus, it's no longer in need of what a lot of us are searching for outside, something we'll never get, because that fulfillment that we get is only temporary when we get it from outside. And unless we replenish it and then up the ante each time we do it because we build immunity to everything, then we're not going to get anywhere. And that's going to take a lot of everything in order to just sustain and remain for one being. But if we actually do it from within and get high in your own supply by tuning in and tapping in and turning on to the divine frequencies and the circuits that are actually available for all of us, if we tune into what that pattern is, this is not the only key you need to get into the kingdom or the queendom of the divine. This is not the only key that you need as the flower grows. These UNCs devices, these tools for transformation, aren't all of the keys you need. In fact, you don't even need those. What you do need, though, is yourself. You have to have you. You don't need me. Nope, you don't need those. You don't need anything else, but you do need you. And that's why I said let's tune into our breath and become coherent. And when we do, it's the frontal cortex, and then that's the upper head brain, right? And we're touching it with our fingers, and then we're going. So we're connecting our brain to our heart. So our head and our heart. And when we have our head and our heart together and we breathe in a coherent manner, what happens is we tap in, turn on, tune in, and our gut flora all the way in and out, the mitochondria starts to communicate and starts to create more ATP molecules within our body. That's actually the coin of the realm that gives you the fuel that you need to actually implode charge so that you can come out the other side a being of not what your mom and dad made you, not what society made you, not what the governments made you, not what your bad moods made you, or any of these things, but what you truly are inside, which is why you have these 10 fingers and why it is that you're able to move them and your arms move and your kidney, colon, livers, and all your organs inside do their own thing, playing in a divine orchestra without you actually being the maestro, because something else is maestroing this play. And it's not that it's not in your control, because it is. The epigeneticist has to be the one that actually activates these neurons inside of their brain by actually waking up, tuning in, and turning them on and keeping up. And what we're turning on is our ability to have that light switch go on in our heads that actually lights everything like a lantern in 360 degrees, and it gives you a biofeedback screen of what's coming in and out and in and all around and to and through. And that's what we're doing here, is we're actually going and finding belief systems, contracts, and ideas and other implants and other ghosts and waywards and other different things that are not beneficial for our ascension process to the divine assignment that we came here to actually do, which is to ground it into this earth Gaia energy frequency and love it and bring back the garden, plant the food and love the life and clean the water and take care of the animals and resurrect the different rivers and streams, and make sure that if we do this now in this time and we plant the mycelia back underneath all the trees, and it reconnects the worldwide web of this actual planet back to the multiverse, solar system, and galaxy that goes throughout all things, and including you and me, because we're all made of the same thing, the field of energy. We're all in the field and we're made of the field, so we're all quantum, if you will. At the same time, we're actually not physically truly here, because if you take me all apart and you take all my pieces apart and you look for me inside of all of them and you keep on looking, it's actually invisible inside of all of it. So I'm actually invisible. You don't really even see me. But if you want to see more of me in this direction, in this way, you have to keep on tuning in like you are. And we're going to go from here to that next best place, which is back to your breath, become coherent, head and heart. Exhale, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And when you do that, belly, chest, head, and you relax, you're turning off the fight or flight, the amygdala. You're turning off the hormones of stress, and you're allowing yourself to actually do that sacred work that you came here to do, which is to be a coherent being. And in being a coherent being, you're not going to go to those riots. You're not going to go start wars. You're not going to go start fights. You're not going to go hurt anybody or go steal anybody's stuff. You're not going to do any of those things, because it's not a part of the divine assignment. So if you guys don't know what that means, a divine assignment, I would encourage you to go look around on my website, www.spiritualmindsetcoaching.com, and I would encourage you to go read about what it is I'm offering you and find your way through all of the bullshit out there, which means belief systems, BS. There's bullshit everywhere, including with me, so don't trust everything I say. Research this for yourself. See if it makes any sense for you. See if you can figure out for yourself how to make your life better, and if you need help, I definitely have a lot to offer you. Like I said before, go check me out on my websites, and if you want some of these tools for transformation, they're also available on my website, www.thesacredstage.store. Aloha, be blessed, have the best life ever.